All right, so today we're going to be diving into a future where preserving, those like ancient traditions meets cutting edge technology. Imagine a world where tribes are using, say, AI to like revitalize their languages or maybe even manage natural resources. That's the grand vision this new Department of Technology is aiming for when they talk about partnering with American Indian tribes. Our source, a Partnership for Progress, lays out a pretty optimistic roadmap, but let's unpack this a bit. What are the real world implications, and honestly, how likely is this to actually work?
Well, it's interesting because the source really nails the foundation, and that's tribal sovereignty and self-determination.
Yeah.
It recognizes that just, airdropping the latest gadgets isn't the answer. It's about ensuring technology serves the tribe's needs and goals, not the other way around.
Yeah, which is huge because let's be real, technology and indigenous communities haven't always had the smoothest track record.
Exactly. Historically, technology has often been a tool for, display, assimilation, even exploitation. So understandably, there's skepticism. That's why this whole concept of data sovereignty is so critical.
So, beyond cybersecurity, what does that look like in action? Why is it so crucial for tribes specifically?
Think of it like this. Data is the blueprint of a community's past, present, and future. For tribes, this includes everything from sacred traditions and cultural practices to the health and sustainability of their lands. Data sovereignty means tribes have the power to control, protect, and benefit from that data. It's about ensuring their heritage and future aren't exploited or erased in this digital age.
That's a really powerful way to put it. And maybe I'm being overly cautious here, but a partnership for progress does feel really optimistic. I have to ask, are there any potential downsides for tribes to consider?
Yeah, I mean, it's always wise to be cautious.
Yeah.
The source outlines a five-step process for this partnership. It involves assessing needs, crafting, custom solutions, ensuring data sovereignty, providing education and training, and finally collaborating on legislation. Sounds promising,
Right.
but the devil is always in the details,
It's
right?
definitely out of those five steps. Which one screams potential roadblock the loudest to you?
It might seem obvious, but that first step, assessing tribal needs, it's absolutely crucial, and it requires more than just a quick survey. It demands deep listening and genuine understanding. Tribes are incredibly diverse. Each one has its own, unique history, culture, and priorities. A one-size-fits-all approach just won't cut it.
Yeah, it's like you can't just hand everyone the same smartphone and expect them to be happy. You need to understand what they'll actually use it for.
Right.
Speaking of which, the source specifically calls out smart tech for environmental monitoring. How would that actually work for, say, a tribe managing a large area of forest land?
Oh, wow. Now that's an exciting application. Imagine sensors monitoring air and water quality, in real-time tracking endangered species, maybe even predicting wildfires before they start. This kind of data wouldn't just be beneficial, it could be transformative,
Yeah.
especially for tribes who are, on the front lines of climate change.
Okay, but who controls all that data? Is there a risk of exploitation there, even if it's unintentional?
You've hit on a very critical point. This is where tribal leadership in tech adoption is paramount. It can't just be about receiving technology passively, it has to be about setting the terms. Tribes need to be asking the tough questions up front. Who owns the technology? How will it be maintained? What are the long-term implications for our people and our land?
So it's not just about the cool gadgets, it's about who gets to call the shots. And that loops us right back to self-determination.
Precisely, it's about empowerment, not dependence.
Yeah.
And that's where the stakes of this partnership become really clear.
And when we talk about those high stakes, the source, it doesn't shy away from addressing the digital divide. It's a term we hear a lot, but what does it really mean for tribes specifically?
Well, it's about basic fairness. For too long, many tribal communities have been on the wrong side of that divide. Lacking reliable internet access, struggling to access online education, or even essential telehealth services. Things many of us take for granted could be a real hurdle in these communities. Closing that gap is crucial for everything, from economic opportunity and healthcare to just staying connected in an increasingly digital world.
Yeah, it's like being stuck with a dial-up connection when everyone else has moved on to lightning-fast internet. You're automatically at a disadvantage.
Precisely. And that disadvantage only grows as our world relies more and more heavily on technology. Imagine a future where tribes are excluded from the digital economy, their voices silenced in online forums, their cultural heritage left behind in the digital dust. That's what's at risk if we don't get this right.
Okay, so we've covered the potential benefits, the challenges, the very real risks. But a partnership for progress also throws out some real wild cards, things like AI and quantum computing,
Hmm.
which sound incredibly powerful, but also a little bit daunting. What kind of questions should tribes be asking about those technologies?
Oh, that's such a crucial point. With tech this powerful,
Hmm.
it's not enough to react after the fact. Tribes need to be proactive, asking those tough questions from the outset. How can AI be used ethically and responsibly in a way that aligns with our values? How do we prevent these technologies from, widening existing inequalities?
Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, how do we ensure that tribes have a seat at the table, not just as users, but as active participants in shaping how these technologies are developed and deployed?
So not just inheriting the future of technology, but actively shaping it.
Exactly.
This whole partnership idea is certainly ambitious, but history is, let's say, littered with well-intentioned initiatives that didn't quite pan out. So final thought here, what does a truly successful outcome look like for this partnership?
You've hit the core of it. It's not enough to just talk about collaboration. We need to see real tangible results.
Hmm.
And true success, I believe, goes beyond just closing the digital divide or boosting tribal economies. Those are critical steps. It's about empowering tribes to thrive on their own terms. Imagine a future where technology strengthens their sovereignty, helps revitalize their cultures, amplifies their voices on a global stage. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, the lessons learned from this partnership can help chart a more equitable and just technological future for everyone.
A future where technology empowers, not overpowers, something to ponder, listeners. That's it for today's deep dive. We'll catch you next time.